Hi guys, there's not much visual progress in this one, but there is a lot under the hood, including a debug option. So let's get started after the fade. Okay, so this is a video 4. I'm concerned that this is going to overrun, but we'll see how long we go here. Why does this keep doing this? Bitdefender, as soon as I start making a video, you immediately want to restart. Basic inventory system, so melee and range weapons, buff and debuff for weapons. So when we apply a buff, that means we get more of a hit, and similarly, when we get a shield, we get more protection from other things. Abstract the input and abstract the movement. I removed these because these two are left over from the previous one, and I think I want to do that. The abstract movement. I'm not entirely sure what that was meant for, so maybe I will get rid of that and get rid of these things as well. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure what abstract movement means, but abstract input certainly we want to. Oh yeah, I do know what that means. So abstract movement. Are we moving in 2D or 3D? Doesn't matter as far as the game is concerned. Kind of. But then again, I don't want to get bogged down into cells and things like that. I just want to place things in the world and then we move them. So we move them as if they're in a cell, but we're not. Like we've been using raycasts and things like that, so I don't want to get too into the it's 3D, it's 2D type thing, because in theory all of this should just work anyway. Okay, so we have our basic inventory system that we need to figure out. We have our buff, debuff weapons and equipment. And then abstract input. So for our inventory, we have different weapons. So we have weapon slots, weapons, and then consumables. Consumables? So consumables are e.g. Food and other things. I don't know. E.g. Range weapons, melee weapons, and shields. And each time we need to have like a player stats as well. Player stats system. And which means we need to have equipped, unequipped. So you can see that we're starting to build up. This is the sort of breaking down of what these things are. So we need to think kind of carefully about what's required for each of these, and we'll maybe do that here rather than in code, just to make sure we get everything right. So we have our items, which can be anything, and those are stored in slots inside our inventory, and we could maybe have like a list of things that don't belong there, or you don't belong there. Like I didn't mean don't belong there. I mean how many items can you carry? So think of that as slots, and then we've got equipped, unequipped. So equipped, unequipped is equipped slots. So for example, we might have a crossbow and a sword, so you can carry the crossbow in your offhand and carry your sword in your main hand, and that's fine. But you might have a double-handed sword which requires both hands, so both slots would be taken up. So that might be a bit complicated for just now, but let's work with that. So equip slots. So let's have main hand, offhand, and shield. Okay, so that's the 3 slots that you can have. And those are going to point to some kind of piece of equipment that we have. And when we equip them, we get a buff. And when we unequip them, we get a debuff. That's how it's going to work. Which means that we need to have our player stats system. So melee, attack, strength, range, attack, strength, and then defensive, strength, hit points, that kind of thing. And these are abstract, so this is going to be for our enemies as well. So we're going to have a melee attack, strength, range attack, all that kind of stuff for each of our enemies. Melee attack, range attack, defensive strength. Okay. And defensive strength is, yeah, so defensive strength is going to be shields. And then hit points is health. So maybe you start off with 10, for example. And then, other things start off with something else. Okay. And then a consumables. So when you use, it applies a certain effect on your character, is removed from inventory on use. So a certain effect on your character. So drink E.G, drink potion gets +1 melee attack bonus for, I don't know, 1 minute. Or adds +1 to health. Okay. So that there is going to involve a buff and then a debuff. So already we're starting to like flesh this out and sort of see where things are. Maybe that's a hyphen then. And then sort of see where this is leading us. So just saying you want a basic inventory system is not just the same as adding a piece of equipment. It's like, how do you add those things? So this is where we sort of have to sort of try and get our players sorted out. Okay, so let's start coding this up then. So we need a player stat system which has got all of this. And then we need a maximum number of slots as well. So we need a stat system, and then we need an inventory system. And the inventory system is going to be tied to your equipment. So we'll call this equipment. So your equipment uses items in your inventory. Okay, and there's only going to be three slots in here: main hand, offhand, and shield. So that's good. Okay, well, let's get started with this one here first of all. And then I'll go in here. Okay, so RPG, so we have our mob here. So let's add, and what will we call this? I don't want to call it player stat. Well, maybe we can just call it player stats. Player stats, is that what we're going to call it? Sure, player stats. Okay. And we don't need that there. public player stats. So what do we need in our player stats? Our player stats needs these guys. So I'm going to add these here just for reference. And so we're going to have public int melee attack strength, int range attack strength. If 0, there is, well, we'll put in a rule that says if it's 0, then you don't have that attack. But we'll maybe make a note up here. If attack strength is 0, there is no attack of that type. So for example, a barbarian, does not have a range attack. They tend not to use range weapons. They tend to use like big smash type weapons. So you're not going to have a range attack. Public int armor, public int hit points. Okay. And that is our player stats. So very simple, just that's what we're going to have there. Now we want our inventory system. So an inventory system, let us create a new folder here and we'll call it inventory system. And we're just doing it because it's nice to block these things out inside folders. And then we'll create a class in here, and this is just going to be called inventory. Inventory, and again, it's going to be a plain old class. I don't see why it should be public class inventory. I don't see why it should be a mono behavior, but I do think we should have a mono behavior with these things in it. And we'll get to that. Maybe we'll have like an RPG one that's going to have that for the player and so forth. So then we're going to have private list, and this is going to be inventory item. I'm going to create an interface for this, and this is going to be items equals new list item. Public ilist item items get return items. So we don't want people to access this directly. We want to separate this out. So this is our private list of items, and then this is our public interface to that list. And you can see this ilist, not list. So we don't want them to manipulate this. And then we're going to have public void pickup item, new item, public void drop, and this is going to be item. Or maybe we want public void drop index. So maybe we want to drop by index. Okay, so that is our inventory. And again, we're not tying up the inventory with the equipped system. We're going to keep that separate because I want to keep these as separate as possible so we can reuse them for other projects. I have plans for other projects. Anyway, more of that next year. Okay, so I'm going to create a new item now, and this is an interface, and this is going to be item. And that's going to be a public interface. Do that and put that there. So the first thing you need to have is you need to have a name. So that's going to be your item name. And then I think what I want to do is I want to have public void equip. So what happens when you equip it? Void and then take off unequip. Maybe we should just call that equip and unequip. That's probably better. So the name of the item. Equip the item. This can also mean consume. Unequip. Equip the item. Okay. So that is our inventory item. And is it an inventory item or an inventory item? And you see that that's all filled in there for item there. Okay. So we have our item. We have our inventory system here. So we have an inventory and we have our items there. So I'm going to just quickly add these. So items.add new item. So we're adding a new item there, and then we'll do items.remove item if index is less than 0 or index is greater than or equal to items.length count even return. Otherwise items.remove at index. So there's two ways we can remove things from there. And this also means we can render that as well. So we might have other things in item as well. We might have a picture and things like that, and we'll put that in there as well. Or maybe we'll just use name, because name's a good enough thing to do. Although it might get a bit tricky when we start doing procedurally generated names, because then it'd be like, fantastic pants of cunning or something. The usual sort of RPG type stuff. Okay. So how many items can you carry? Slots. Okay, let's do a constructor then. So let's do public inventory int max slots. And then let's say equals int.max value. So we'll default maximum number of slots to the maximum value. So we'll say private int max slots. Max slots. Now there's now for those of you who are playing at home, you probably think to yourself, well, I could actually just put in the maximum number of slots in there, but I have a sneaking suspicion. I'm not entirely sure, and I would have to look at the docs, but I think it might I don't think it would allocate it, but I'm not going to take any chances. So I don't want to allocate these things here. All I want to say is if let me make that as a bool. If items.count is less than max slots, or actually it should be greater than or equal to max slots, return. I don't want to add things on there. And then I'm going to do, actually that'd be return false, return true. So what I'm saying here is if you're unsuccessful in picking the item up, the item doesn't get picked up, and we might want to show a message saying you are overburdened or whatever. Or you are carrying too many items, that kind of idea. And that can be like a status that we pop up, which we might think of it having to do. So where are we doing here? status bar text, e.g. you are overburdened. Yeah. So all of these systems, you probably think to yourself, well, where's the action? So we're building out the mechanics just now, just to make sure that the game is fun, and then when we get into the actual development work, we're actually going to be doing the game itself. We're just building the engine of the game just now, not building the game itself. Although it's an eye to the building of the game itself, because we're already starting to think about constraints about, well, maybe this monster only has 3 or 4 items or whatever. Now the other cool thing though is if we see like a dead body, we can then loot it because the dead body might have an inventory. So when we loot it, we can then go and get the list of items from the dead body, and then pick up the items from that body. So all of this is kind of tied in with it. Okay. All right. Next thing we want to do is the equipped, unequipped. So these are our slots. Okay. So I want to have an well, do we want to keep it in the inventory system? Let's keep it in the inventory system just now. So new item, and then we'll call this what will we call this? Let's call this something boring. So let's call it equipped items now. I don't know why. I meant to make that a class. So equipped items. So I'm going to have a public item, and this is going to be offhand. Offhand. What do I want to do here? Public item offhand. Public, that would be get private set. Public item main hand. Let's keep it consistent. Get private set. What am I doing? All fingers and thumbs. Public item, and then this is going to be shield get private set. Okay. Now we're going to put rules in here that you can only put weapons in this slot and only shields in this one. So maybe we want to tie that down. Maybe we want to have like an eye shield item. And maybe we want to have an eye weapon item. It's possible. I don't want to go down that far. I think we should have rules outside of it. Maybe you have other ideas. If you want to leave a comment in the notes in the comments below, that would be great. But I'm going to leave it as eye item, and then I'm going to have a wrapper around it, which is going to be our mono behavior, and then that mono behavior is then going to control what items get put in here. Okay, and then let's have another folder up here, and I'm going to call this basic inventory. And our basic inventory is going to be just a basic inventory. The things that we're going to give the player. Now, are there things that we're going to do that we always want to do? So, if so, maybe we can make that a factory of items. Like have a factory where we generate items. Actually, maybe a factory, without getting all Java-y, having a factory might help because really the weapons themselves, they're just stats. That's all they are. The abstract of it is stats. If you have a big sword, it means that you wield more power, which means you do more damage. If you have a smaller sword, you do less damage. And if you have a bigger shield, you do more, you get more protection. If you got like a wooden shield that doesn't do as much protection, all that kind of stuff. So really they're only stats. So maybe what I could do is I could have in here a public class, and let's call this weapon. Let's call this melee weapon. Do I want to call it item? Melee weapon item? Let's call it melee weapon item. And I'll make this public. And I will make this an item. And of course I need to implement the interface. So that's going to be get private set. And then equip. We're going to have to figure something out here. So what I think is, I think we're going to have public melee weapon item, and then we're going to pass in our name, and then we're going to pass in the action to perform when we equip something. So I'm going to say equip action, and then this is going to be unequip action. Okay, and then that's going to be where are we? Action equip action unequip. And for this one we're going to say if equip is not equal to null, equip dot invoke. I mean, you could call it directly, you can just do it as that, and we'll just do it as that. And then similarly we'll do if unequip is not equal to null, unequip, call that. All right, so that is our base melee weapon. It's not really a melee weapon, I mean it's really just a weapon. Maybe we just have it as weapon item. But I really want to know, okay. Let's go back to the equipped items. Let's make that a melee weapon item and a melee weapon item. Let's change that from private to set. And then a shield is going to be our shield item. And so we're going to create a shield item here, add class, and it's going to be shield item, item, public class, and get private set. So you see that a shield is really just the exact same as a weapon, and it's going to be almost exactly the same code in here. So we're going to have our private action equip, private action unequip, equip, if equip is not equal to null, equip, if unequip is not equal to null, unequip. And then down here we've got our constructor, so we're going to do public shield item, string name, action equip, action unequip. And that's going to be, I made a mistake there, didn't I? It should just be weapon item. I'll fix that just a sec. So then we're going to have name equals name, and then equip equals equip, and unequip unequip equals unequip. Okay. All right, that's that. Okay. And then for melee weapon item, I'm going to change that to just weapon item. Where's our melee weapon item? Let's change that to weapon item. Doesn't really change, but we do need to change our equipped items. So these now have to become weapon items there. Okay. But we still need to know if it's a range or not. So maybe our weapon item. Maybe we just have a boolean in here. Actually, let's not have a boolean in there. Let's have add class. Let's call it an enum. Where's enum? I saw it somewhere in here. Enum. Oh, okay, fine. Sure, so enum in here. Class, and then we'll call this weapon type. Enum weapon type. And it's going to be melee or range. So it's the only weapon types we have is weapon types melee and range. So then we're going to have inside here weapon type that. Okay. And so that means we need to have public weapon type get private set, and then we do name equals name, weapon type equals weapon type, equip equals equip action, unequip equals unequip action. And I think that satisfies everything that we need in there. Okay. Now we just need a factory to create these things. Or do we? Well, okay, let's not bother doing the factory just now. Let's just have a sort of, let's get rid of basic inventory there. But for player, what I want to have is we've got animated movement, locomotion, and then this one here, I'm going to create another class here called, let me look up something for inventory. Thesaurus inventory. Inventory synonyms. Catalog, backlog. You know what? Let's call it backpack. Okay. Add class, and then we'll call this backpack. Public class backpack. Mono behavior. So right now we're only interested in it extending from mono behavior, but it will have a private inventory, and it will have a private equipped items. Okay. So inside our awake, inventory equals new, inventory equipped equals new, equipped items. let's do equipped dot main hand equals, but I want to add this to the inventory and I want to add it in here as well. So I want to add something, but I just want to add it in one place. And I don't want to add it. Okay. So this is the problem of having two separate items that hold these inventory items. So the equipped items has a list to inventory, but maybe we could pass that in, and then it could handle getting the value back from there. Like, I want to use equip as the name. So maybe I want to have public, not in there, public void equip main hand. That would be weapon item, and then public void equip offhand weapon. But the thing is, do you have that weapon? Like, where's this coming from, this weapon? Like if I pick it up, so if I pick up the item, well, okay, if I pick up the item, I pick up the item, that goes into the inventory. So I need a public void pick up weapon item. That would be item, and then that would just be inventory dot pick up item. So that's that done there. And then I need a drop item as well. So public void drop item, inventory dot drop item, that. And that's all I'm going to do, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a table of the items you have, and then you can like in a grid, and then you can delete them or whatever you want to do from there, and that's going to handle it inside the backpack. I think that's what I'm going to do. And then the equip that, and then there's going to be public void equip shield, shield item, shield. So that's going to have to be that interface is going to have to, the UI is going to have to know that it's a shield item, I guess. Okay. So that's going to be equipped dot shield equals shield. But we need to unhand the shield as well. So really what we're doing here is we're doing shield.equip. And we haven't said what equip's going to do. And then that's going to be weapon.equip. And that's also going to be weapon.equip. But how's that going to work? How can I equip it to the main hand? Ha 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 ha. That's a good question. So I think what I have to do here is yeah, I'm going to do that. This is where you start painting yourself into a corner slowly. Yeah, that's not going to work, is it? So when I do that, it's going to equip it onto there, but I want it to equip it onto the main hand or the offhand, but I need to know what the property is that I'm going to place it on. So maybe maybe if I equip this in the offhand to the main hand, then I'm thinking. All right, so I want to have it almost like inside this backpack. Where's my weapon item? Oops. If I go to backpack, what I want to do is I want to say equip, and then I want to say weapon does equipped dot offhand equals that. I know that looks kind of weird, but what I'm saying is that's the main hand anyway. Main hand is that. So I want to say equip this weapon, but at the same time I want you to put it on this particular hand here. And then for this one here, I want to do weapon is equipped dot offhand equals weapon. Okay. And then go back to our weapon item, and our weapon item has got this equip, and then we're going to have our action weapon item placement, place weapon, place weapon. So we're going to do equip, and then we're going to do place weapon, and weapon is going to be this. So we're going to place this weapon. But we also need to unequip the weapon that's already there. So we're going to have to say if equipped dot main hand is not equal to null, equip dot main hand dot unequip. So we want to unequip the weapon. We don't want to wield the weapon. And then similarly, we need to do this thing in here. So we do if equip dot offhand is not equal to null, equip dot offhand dot unequip. So that gets rid of that from the hand. And then we need to do the same thing here as well. So we want to say if equip dot shield is not equal to null, equipped dot shield dot unequip. So it's a bit messy, And we really probably should tidy this up at some point, because this looks like we could factor this out and like do something with it for me, because it looks eerily similar down here, but we have it where we have it just now. Okay, and so this is going to get equipped, and then once it gets equipped, we're going to set it to be the main hand weapon. And then similarly, that's going to be the same thing in there. We don't need that for the shield, we just need to equip it and unequip it, and then we're good to go. Okay, so let's have a add default items function here, and we'll create that down here. So we'll do private void add default items. So we're just gonna have one weapon. So var sword equals new weapon item. Actually, it's going to be new weapon item. And this is going to be wooden sword, because why not? I don't know where I got that from, just popped into my head there. Weapon type is melee type. Equip action is going to be oh yeah, we need to know the player. We need to know about the player as well. So how can we do that? So the player himself, where is he? Player stats manager, move player, player end. Okay, we need to have some kind of, so that's stats in there. We've got this RPG thing here. We've got player stats down here, which is, we should probably maybe change that to analytics or telemetry or something other than stats. Because we have our player stats down here, and this is what we want to change. Because that's going to have like a default. It's going to have we're going to apply a different a change to this. So our weapon item here, wooden sword, melee, and then what action we want to do when we add that to the player. So the player is going to be this player stats, but we don't know how we're going to get that just yet. So let's figure that out. So we have our backpack here, inventory equipped items. I mean, maybe we just have a reference to it. I mean, it's not too bad because it's going to be part of the player anyway. So maybe we need to have, because we're changing things on there, let's do acquire component type of, and we'll call this player vitals. Player vitals. Yeah, that sounds good. So we'll add another class here, and we'll call it player vitals. And we'll make that public. Oh no, behavior. That didn't work, did it? So our player vitals is just going to contain our public player stats, player stats, get private set, public void await even, player stats equals new player stats. So we'll create that on there. Player stats. Are we going to have anything? Player stats dot armor equals 10. Player stats dot hit points equals, actually the armor is going to be 0, and then your hit points are going to be 10 because you don't have any armor. player stats dot melee attack strength is going to be 1. Player stats dot range attack strength is going to be 0. And that's it. Okay. So that's going to be our player vitals. And then we're going to have private player vitals. Player, let's just call it vitals. And we'll say vitals equals get component player vitals. Okay. So that gets us our component. And now that we have that component, we can then do things down here. This is where we should probably create a factory, but we're not going to just now. Okay, so the equip action is when you're equipped, I want to say player vitals dot player stats dot where is it, melee attack strength plus equals 2, and then the other action, the unequip action, is going to be vitals dot player stats dot melee attack strength minus equals 2, and I think that's it. Okay, so let me just put this all on multiple lines just to make it a little bit clearer what the heck I'm talking about. Okay, so when we equip this, so we're going to add it to our inventory, and when we add it to when we equip it, what it's going to do is our equipment. So when we equip items here, we call this in here, we equip that in the main hand. What it's going to do is it's going to unequip anything that's already there, and then it's going to add it to our stats. It's going to add it to our held weapons, and then it's going to make that the main hand weapon, for example. And then when we remove it, it's going to decrease our attack strength by 2. So in this case, it's going to increase our attack strength by 2. Actually, it should probably just increase it by 1. And then let's give our player vitals, our melee attack strength is going to be 0, because we don't have an attack strength because we're weaklings without this. So by equipping this, we're going to get 1 here, and we get a attack strength of that. And then we're going to say var shield equals new shield item wooden shield. Can't spell shield to save myself. And then it's the same thing that we have here. So when you equip it, our vital statistics, our armor is going to add 1 to it. And then when we remove it, when we unequip it, our vitals armor is going to decrease by 1. Shield. And now we need to add it to our inventory. So we need to do the pickup here. So we're going to do pickup sword, pickup shield, and then we need to equip these. So we need to do equip main hand sword, equip shield, shield. And that gives us our default adventuring type equipment. Now, what we will do is we're going to have to take this out and put this elsewhere. But what this also means, though, is that we can then serialize all this stuff out. And that makes it a lot easier when we're creating things like, random weapons and that kind of thing. Okay. So let's see what we've got here. We also need to change our attack as well. What's this? Weapon item. Oh yeah, because of the equipment here. let's do public void equip, and then it's going to be equip that. I don't know. Let's say if place weapon is not equal to null, place weapon this. Okay, and that satisfies that interface there. And we also need to change our attack as well. So when we attack something, where are we? Locomotion. Where are we? Can move player. Okay, so we have all these traversal handles now. So we need to look inside our traversal handle. So our mob traversal handler. So instead of this one, we need to figure out. This is we need to figure out how much to actually decrement the health by. So we're going to change that to. Actually, let's leave that just now. But we need to change this because we need to know the player that hit this character. So we're probably going to have to change the hit here to say, you know, the thing that hit you was this. So we're going to have to change that as well. But for now, let's add. If we go to player, and I bring all these up, and I want to add backpack, which will add player vitals and backpack. I'm going to drag these down to here so that all the scripts are together. So we have our player vitals and we have our backpack. And so when we run this, let me just set the breakpoint here. Inside backpack. So I want to add default items. Because I want to look at the debug information when we do that. Oh no. Let's do that. That didn't work. Let's try that again. Okay. Looks like we're getting an error in 56. 56. What's 56? 56 is player vital stats. Aha. Okay. So if we do F11, so that's our sword. So you can see it's a weapon. It's a melee item. So we're going to pick up sword, pick up shield. So now inside our inventory, we can see that we have no items inside our inventory for some unknown reason. Well, that's a big mistake as well. And then we can do equip. So if main hand is not equal to null, do that. Otherwise, we go in here. So vitals, player stats is null, and that's why it bombs out there. Okay, so why player stats is null? Player vitals. Probably because that's not awake yet. Okay. You know what? Let's maybe we should just keep it as messages, and then that way everything all kind of works out right. But let's find out why that inventory is not working. So pick up. Okay, let's set a breakpoint here as to why this isn't working, because it wasn't picking up the items, which is worse. Okay. So if items count is greater than max slots is 0. Why is max slots 0? Not compute. That's because I mixed it up. That should be max slots. Should be with the underscore here, and then max slot should be that over there. Okay, right. That's why that wasn't picking it up. All right, let's figure a way around this problem here. So the issue is that this is happening on awake, and the other one hasn't been set up yet, which means that that's the reason why it's not working there. And of course, I can't have it as, if I go to player vitals here, 12, I can't have this as a separate object. Ugh, this is the problem with these things. Well, I mean, I could have, I don't need to have this as a separate object. In fact, let's not have it as a separate object. Let's just get rid of player stats altogether and just call it player vitals. And then I can have public int armor, public int hit points, public int melee attack. Let's just call it melee attack, public int range attack. We'll set that to 0, set that to 0. The number of hit points will default to 10, and then armor is going to be 0. Okay, so let's just get rid of all of that, and we'll get rid of our player stats class as well. Let's get rid of that. Yep. All right, and then go back to, where are we? In here. So let's just get rid of this and get rid of strength and that there. Okay. So now go back, recompile. Everything looks good. Attach. Okay. Right. So our inventory, we should have 2 items in there, and we don't because we haven't added them yet. And then our vitals, we have our armor, hit points, melee attack, and all that kind of stuff. So if we go down to here, and we jump in here, so let's pick up the sword, pick up the shield, and if we go back up to our inventory, we should have 2 items in here. We now have 2 items. We have a weapon item, we have a shield item, and then we have this equipped and unequipped. Okay, so remember the vitals here. The vitals are, let's pin this just now. I don't want that. Let's pin. Why does it not let me pin these things? Vitals. I want to pin armor and melee attack. Okay. So let me just drag this down here. Okay. So now what happens when we equip the main hand, we should see that the melee attack should go up by 1 because it's going to add 1 when we equip it. So we'll press F10 and you see that our melee attack has not changed at all. And we'll equip the shield and nothing's worked. Let's see what's happened over here. Vitals. Okay, well, it's worked. It's just that the debug thing was broken. But it has worked. It's changed the armor and it's changed the melee attack to 1. So that's good. That's all working. And I don't see any errors in the console. Pretty sure I don't see any errors in the console. Window. Where's console? Can't see it. Nice. Yeah, I don't see any errors in the console. Everything looks good. I can still move the player. I can still attack. So he still takes 4 hits. And everything's good. Okay, well, we haven't broken anything, which is always a good sign. Okay. Melee attack, strength, range attack, defensive, strength, hit points. Okay, so these are the things we've done. How many items you can carry, we've done that. So let's put an X against these things. We've done that, that. We have equipped and unequipped. Equip slots, and we have that. We haven't done any food. Buff, deduff, weapons as required. Yep, that's done. Abstract movement, working 2D doesn't matter as far as the game is. Okay. So we've done most of this stuff. What do we need to do here? I mean, all of this kind of comes out when we're using things, so that's not too bad. Don't need to do that today. What else? There was one more thing that I was wanting to do. Oh, that was it. That was it. Okay, so when you hit something, this traversal handler, it hits a game object. So this gets used where? Inside inside traversal manager, and it calls the hit collider with a game object, but it doesn't move the play. Like, I don't know where the player is here. So can move player. So where is? Okay, so traversal manager is a singleton, and I want to know if I can move the player. So do I pass in the player? I do pass in the player, but the thing is, I need to know the player stats. So do I get it from here and risk contaminating this? I mean, I don't mind. Well, I kind of do mind the fact the backpack knows about the player vitals. Kind of sucks. This seems a bit hacky. Can we redo? Let's change that to do. So yeah, can we redo that player vitals? Because the player vitals thing, that is kind of annoying. I really shouldn't know about that. And then similarly, the traversal handler is a base class, and it shouldn't know about it either. So really, I should send a signal out that says I've hit something, and then I should handle that in an appropriate way. So what if I did that? What if I did that? What if I did that? So mob traversal handler. Okay. So really, I want to send out this message here. So handlers, going to add a new folder here called messages, and then the message is going to be this is going to be attack mob. This is going to be melee attack mob message. Okay, and it's going to be public, and it's going to be base message. And that one there, and then the base constructor for this needs a message, so it's going to be melee attack mob, something simple as that. Override. It's just a message, isn't it? So the message is going to be, I don't need a string there, mob, mob, public mob, mob, get private set, mob equals mob. Okay, so melee attack mob message. So instead of doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say var message equals new that mob, and then yeah, exactly, to do how can we handle superior weapons like if the player's carrying a +4 broadsword. This is what we're going to do, because then you know that's that done. Now the player can't pass is always going to be true, because no matter what happens on this turn, if you kill the mob, then you're not going to be able to move anyway. So you're not going to get past the mob no matter what happened. So that line there is valid. And then we need to do message q.instance.post, and then this is going to be message. So I want to keep this in just now so that I can remember what we did and recreate it down there. And now for the player, I'm going to have a public class, and then this is going to be combat manager. Combat manager, and it is going to be a mono receiver mono behavior. Yeah, let's do receiver mono behavior, and then it's going to be melee attack mob message. Implement abstract class, public, blah 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 blah. That there. Don't need that, and then handle, and then we need to handle what happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that there, take that out, put that in there, and I'm going to do that. This one though, this does actually need the player vitals. This one here does need the player vitals. So maybe we can tidy that up as well. This is going to be a long video, so I apologize. Oh, that's going to be type of that. Type off, type of. There we go. And we're going to have a private player vitals, and that's going to be vitals equals get component player vitals. And we're going to say var mob equals message dot mob, and then mob health is going to be whatever the attack strength is. So it's going to be vitals dot, and then melee attack. So it's the difference of the melee attack. And then we're going to say if it's less than or equal to that, we're going to destroy mob.gameObject. So whatever the game object is, actually I think we can just get away with doing destroy there. So that's going to handle that there. So everything's handled in the player. The mob doesn't need to know about the player. Everything's all handled by messages, so it's all neat and tidy. Which means we could probably go back to this. So now, all of these changes, these are all very small changes, and they don't probably mean a lot in the sort of that kind of narrow vision of it, but it means that we can change a whole bunch of things. So right now nothing's working, and the reason why nothing's working is because nothing is listening to that message. So we don't have our combat manager on our player. So as soon as we add our combat manager, and we'll just drag that up to there for neatness and no other reason. So now that we have our combat manager, that message is now going to be listened to. So when we attack the player, he gets killed, same as before. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get 4 hits there. Now what we can do is we can actually kill that guy in 1 hit. And all we need to do is go down to our backpack and then change that from +1 to +4. And let it recompile. And go over here, and this guy dies as before, and this guy dies instantly as well because he's now +4, which is good. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to turn that into a message. Okay, so we don't want to tie the vitals to this backpack because this is, like I said there, it's a bit hacky. I don't like this get component thing if it's not tightly combined in it. Like the combat manager and the vitals, they go hand in hand. The backpack and the vitals, not so much. So I need to send a message to do that. So what I'm gonna do is let me think about this for a second. All right, so inside our vitals, what I want to do, so there's player vitals there, there's messages there. So I want to have let's call that a vitals message. Public base message, public vitals message, and it's going to be action let's just call it action for lack of a better thing, and then we need to do base name, and then we're going to have public no, it's going to be private action equals action, and oops, actually this is just going to be public action get private set, and so that's going to be action there. Okay. Not entirely sure how good this is going to work, but let's see what happens. Now, what do I want to do here? I want to actually bump it up by a certain amount So vitals message, and then this is going to be delta. Yeah, how am I going to do this? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that if we go to player vitals here, I want to say this is going to be public. But this doesn't have a message on it. That's the only problem. Well, okay. So this is a receive for vitals message. Action. Let's just put this in just now. Vitals message. Why is that not in there? Oh, right. Okay. Because this namespace. Shenanigans. Okay, there's vitals message there. And we obviously need to implement this here. We get our handle, got our awake. But the only problem is I don't really want it to have that, because I want to be able to use this class for other things. Because I want to be able to use armor, hit points, melee attack, range attack for beasties. So that doesn't really work for me. Although I suppose I could just have it as a mob. Maybe, this one's got, the mob here's got a health of 1, so maybe we can have hit points as well. Maybe we can figure that out. Yeah, okay, maybe let's do that then. Maybe we'll have an interface where if you're a mob then, or a player or whatever it is, then you'll expose certain objects to yourself. Anyway, so what I want to have though is I want to have a public static but see, that's not going to work. Maybe I just need to have it as a public method, like a kind of factory method. So, okay, that's what I need to do. That's exactly what I need to do. All right, vitals message. Okay, so the action stands. That's fine. Vitals message, action stands. What I need to do though is, but that's the thing, I don't want to have it in there. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay, so the reason why it's not going to work is because the conversation that's going inside my head, and I'll try and explain, is I don't want the backpack to know anything about anything at all about the player vitals. Right? I don't want it to know anything about it ever. So I need to pass in that there. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to concede and just have this base vitals message, and then figure a way in how to do it. Oh, it's so annoying. It's almost like I want to have a combined action plus function type thing where I pass in these values, and I'm sure if I was using C# every single day, they would just come straight to me, but I can't really think of it just now. Maybe what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and I'll have a think about it, and I'll come back rather than me humming and hawing about it. That's probably a better idea. Okay, so I've had to think about it and I can't think of anything good to do for this. So just probably gonna have to wing it just now. Okay, so the vitals message, I just want to send a message out to update these values here. But okay, I think I have it now. So we have armor, hit points, melee attack, and range attack. So I'm going to grab these and go into here, and I'm going to take that out. I'm going to have that as that, and then this is going to be, get rid of that. We'll have this as vitals message. And internally we're going to have armor delta, hit point delta, melee attack delta, and range attack delta. And they're all going to be set to 0. And this is going to be, these are going to be private. And then we're going to have int melee delta, int range delta, hit point delta, int armor delta. And actually, let's make these public range. Private set. Set right there. And let's make them back to public. Okay. So now we've got armor delta equals armor delta, hit point delta equals hit point delta, melee equals melee, range attack equals range attack delta. What do I call that? Range delta. Okay. So that's the vitals message. Okay. And let's have public static vitals message create melee delta, and we'll do return new vitals message, and it's going to be melee 0, 0, 0. And then we're going to have another static one here, so public static vitals message create range delta, return new vitals message 0, range delta, 0, 0, and do the same thing for the other ones. So public static vitals message create hit point int hit point. Actually, it's hit point delta. New vitals message 0, 0, hit point delta 0, and then do the same thing for armor. This is kind of what I wanted. Create armor delta, and I think the last one is armor, isn't it? Yep. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of what I want. And then in here, I want to post this off. So what if I did, what if I, what if I cheated? Okay, so going back to our player vitals message, where are we? Oh dear, I'm all over the place here. Player vitals message. Okay, so that is, where are we? That's in here. So if I now do add vitals message extension, and let's make that a public static class, public static void post this vitals message message queue dot instance dot post message, and this is just me being lazy because I'll show you what I'm trying to do here. So the idea is to make these things as easy as possible to read. So what I want to do is I want to create a melee attack message that increases the player's melee attack by a certain value, and then post it, because that's what happens when you increase. That's what happens. So you want to post it, and that will then send it to the stats, the vitals manager, and then it will. Where are we? The vitals. Where are we? Player vitals. So we'll go into player vitals, and it will get handled in there, and then everything will just work. So if I now do vitals message dot create, and then this is going to be melee, and then I want to have that as a delta of 1, and then instead of the melee attack being that, oh yeah, and I also want to do post because I want to send that message out, and then instead of doing that I want to do vitals message dot create melee -1 post, because I want to debuff that attack there. And then similarly I need to do the same thing for armor. So I'm going to do vitals message dot create armor 1, and then post that, and then I want to do vitals message dot create armor -1 post. So as long as these don't get mixed up and you end up going some, keep adding it and then we never subtract it, that's what this part here is for, is that we always unequip anything we've equipped before. So as long as we keep doing that, I think we're good. Again, I should mention I'll put links in the show notes below, that you really should look at the action and function videos that I've done, because it will help with this. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat here as well, and I'm going to say add class, and then this is going to be, oh no, vitals message extensions. I've already got them. Player vitals. Where's the messages? There we go. Player vitals extensions. And then I'm going to say public static void apply this vitals message, and then that's going to apply that to the player vitals. So we're going to say vitals dot armor plus equals message dot armor delta. Vitals dot hit point plus equals message dot hit point delta. Vitals dot melee attack plus equals message dot melee. Vitals dot range plus equals message dot range attack delta. Oh, Detla, really? Detla? Delta. Yeah, I'll change that to that there. Okay. And if we go back to player vitals here, all we need to do now is we do message dot apply this. Boom. So that keeps that super simple, and it means that when we post a vitals message, then it can handle it. So when we get more armor, it handles that. When we get more hit points, it handles that, all that kind of stuff. So that's good. And what that means now is that we can go back to our backpack. Oops. Our backpack here, and we can get rid of the vitals thing because we don't need it. And we don't need that there. And we don't need that. And that's everything. Okay. So fingers crossed, everything's okay. So again, the whole point is that we have these discrete objects that don't have any interaction with each other. Direct interaction, that is. And we're passing these messages around because it makes it easier to separate the classes. And it also means that we can add anybody in to listen on those messages. And when we add Google Analytics, all that kind of stuff, all that message passing is done for us, so we don't need to do anything else. So anyway, we keep moving here, and that's still not working. Okay. Let's add some debug info. Right, I like debug. Right. Okay, let's add some scripts here. So debug, and then let's have what are we going to do here? Do we need player info? Well, okay, let's see what we've got so far. So what I think is happening is this message is not firing. The vitals message is not firing. But I also think the fact is it's happening on awake, which could be an issue. So let's try it on start. Because if it's on start, that could be a bit of a problem. If it works on start, that could be a bit of an issue. Not sure how much just yet. Yeah, there you go. So it's a little bit of a timing issue. And also the combat manager, the whole thing is it's the same as the treasure manager. So when we bump into a treasure chest and it opens, that's all handled by the treasure manager. So it makes sense that your combat here is not handled by every individual object. It's actually just a separate manager class. So again, when something goes wrong with your code there, you fix it in one central place and boom, it works everywhere. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll leave it as start just now, but I'll put a marker against it saying to do this really should work on awake, but for the sake of a shorter video 4, we made this method get called, but we called this method from start. Okay. Controls. Do that. Should we do debug? Yeah, let's do debug. Why not? Okay. So what I want to do is I want to have debug. I want to have let me create an empty thing here, and we'll maybe make this a prefab debug. And I want to create a canvas, UI canvas, and I'll drag that into debug. And the canvas, Let's make that screen space camera, constant pixel size scale, and we'll make it 1280 by 720 and 0.5. Okay. Why are you not scaling? There you go. Okay. Did I add? I don't think I did add. Nah, I didn't. Darn it. Okay. Well, maybe we need to add that as well. The text mesh stuff. All right. So video 4. What have we got? What do I want to show in debug? The thing what I want to show in debug is I want to be able to drag and drop an object in there and then display information about it. I think that's what I want to do. Okay. Do we have time for this? Maybe not. Okay. So let's create a UI panel and we'll make it black. And then the panel UI, and then what do we want in here? Canvas panel. I think for now I'm going to create a text object, and we're just going to see if we can get something displayed on the screen. I think that's for today, that's good enough. So I need a debug controller. So debug, and let's call that debug controller, and it is a singleton behavior, debug controller, public class that, void update, if key code, if input dot key code get key down key code tilde tick back quote and input dot modifier div key code control. So I want the left key control to be down as well as that. And then I need to have public canvas, actually game object canvas, and that's going to be canvas dot set active true. Actually, it's going to be if canvas dot active in hierarchy, canvas dot set active false, else canvas dot set active true. So toggle it. So no matter what state it's in, it should be the opposite state when you toggle it. So so right now it's being shown. So if I do control tilde, it should hide, but only when I add it to the scene. Okay, so now that I've added the debug controller there, I'm going to drag and drop my canvas into there. And that's that. And then the panel, the background, I'm going to delete the background. And then I'm going to play. doing well today. Absolutely well. Well, there you go. Let's see if that's working at all. I thought it was an input modifier. I'm thinking of another game engine, maybe. Or maybe it's in the event. That might be in the event. Yeah, definitely not working. Let's see if backquote just works on itself. To be honest, I really don't care what the keyboard thing is. I just want to be able to toggle it quickly. So I can go on to the next bit, which is showing information. Okay, come on. All right, there we go. Okay, so there's our toggly information-y thing. So that's good. Although, why is it showing? Why is that appearing? So I don't show it, and then that shows. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, we'll figure that out, I'm sure. Oh, let's make it world space, whatever. Okay, so I put that there, and put that there, and then we have new text. What size is that? Font size 1. Yeah, see, it just goes into garbage. I swear I keep doing this, and it never looks right. Canvas, world space, 1. Is that a good thing? Screen space overlay. Is that a better one? God knows. Yeah, see, I don't want that to show though. That's the problem. Why is that showing up in the game? All right, I don't care right now. All I'm interested in is getting debug information. Okay. So the debug information that I want to get is I want to class, and then this is going to be show object debug. Okay, and this is a mono behavior. Public net acquire component type of text. I think it is. UI void awake. I'm aware this video is going on quite a bit, so I'm going to try and speed up a bit. Private text equals get component text, and I'm going to do void update private float time if time equals 0 or time is greater than next time. Next time equals, and then we're going to update this every 2000 seconds. Sorry, every 2 seconds. Let's make it 5 seconds. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab that object and we're going to read all its properties. So we're going to say public game object target. And we're going to say var fields equals, and then it's going to be type of, it'll be target dot get type dot get fields. And then we want to have that as public fields, and we also want to have them as instance fields. So we want it to be on the class itself. Now, what the heck am I doing here? What I'm doing is a thing called reflection. And reflection in C# allows me to go in and then find out information about a particular type that I might not know about at runtime. So in this case, when I'm designing this, I know it's a game object. Actually, it's not a game object, it's a mono behavior. But it can't be a mono behavior, it's got to be a specific mono behavior. In fact, let me just make this a player vitals. Let's just make it player vitals for the sake of this experiment. So it's got to be player vitals. So I'm going to go and grab all those fields, and then I'm going to go and enumerate through those fields. I'm going to list those fields, and I'm going to add them to the text box. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to say for each field in fields, and then I'm going to say field.getValue, and then I need a target object, so that's going to be our target. And the value is going to be a float. I know it's going to be a float. So let's just call this float equals that. And I think I need to use just the standard notation there for converting a value from one type to another. So you get this back as an object, but it's a float that I want. Sorry, I shouted there, I realized. And now we want to display that on the screen. So I'm going to do, let's have a string message equals that. And I'm going to say message equals that plus string dot format. And then the format is going to be the first item, followed by the second item, and then a new line. And that item is going to be field.name, and then whatever the floating point number is. Okay. And then at the end of that, I'm going to say text.text equals message. Okay. So that is our debug class. So let's just go back through that. This is fairly straightforward. So if the time is equal to 0 or the time is greater than whatever the next time is, do this, and then I'm going to say else time plus equals time dot delta time. Okay, so if time is equal to 0 or time is greater than next time, do that, and then that's going to be time equals 0 in there. All right. So we're going to go and use reflection to get the fields. And what fields are we getting? Well, if we go back to our player vitals, you'll see that we have 4 public fields here: armor, hit points, melee attack, range attack. We're then going to go through all those fields, the for each in those fields. We're going to get the value. So we get the value of the field. So it's get the value of this field on this object. I'm going to cast it to a float because you know it's a floating point number. And then all their integers. Let's make them integers. Oops. And then I'm going to create this formatted string which says take the field name and the float and plug them into these positions here. And so I'm going to add that to my text here. So I have text here. I'm going to add, what did I call this? Show object debug. Show object debug. And you see that I need a target, so I'm going to drag the player across onto it. Boop, like that. And once I press play, so nothing happens. Then I press the back tick, and you see that we have our little debug up here in the top right hand corner. It says armor 1, hit points 10, melee attack 1, range attack 0. And that's going to be our little debug over there. And we can make that bigger as well. So if we do text and then change that to font size 28, for example, 28, it should be twice as big now. And so we click the back tick, and you see that we now have armor 1, hit points 10, melee attack 1, range attack 0. And right now the player is still active, but we can solve that problem there. Now, what we can do though is we can say we might be interested in multiple players, so maybe we can get a debug for these enemies here, and whether they'll be under attack or whatever. So we can have like a crazy amount of debug information, and we can also put up the stats as well on here as well. So anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Okay, guys, that's 2 hours on the dot, according to this. Now, there was a bit in the middle where I took a break to take a look at it. Apologies for that. Normally, I don't edit videos out, but in this one, I kind of made an exception for it. A bit of a mishmash. This one. What do we end up doing? Let me bring up the carrot thing here. Okay, so we added our player stat system, so the melee attack, range, defensive strength, well, the shields, hit points, all that kind of stuff. The weapons, equipping and unequipping. We need to come up with a UI for that, so maybe we'll look at that next time. And then certain effects on your character, so drinking potions, that kind of thing. Actually, what we need to do next time is we need to do item pickup, which we've not done before. So that's, I think we're going to handle that inside our inventory. So maybe our backpack manager, instead of pick up and drop items, maybe we don't have a pickup, but we do have a drop maybe. Actually, we can do that as a message as well. So maybe our backpack will actually be messagified next time. Maybe I'll write that down actually. Maybe I will write that down so I can remember that. Anyway, it's been a long video, so apologize for that. So, but if you liked it, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Please let me know whether it was too long or whatever in the notes below. And what else do we need to do? Yeah, if you are new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell, all that kind of stuff. And if you aren't new to the channel, then please feel free to share this on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and all that kind of stuff. Talking of which, you can follow me on Twitter at Codehoose, CODEHOOSE, Codehoose. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm gonna go now and rest my voice, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.